What if I told you there are pickup trucks out there that refuse to die? I'm talking about trucks that laugh in the face of 300,000 miles. Trucks that mechanics secretly hate because they never see them broken down. And trucks so reliable, they'll probably outlive your mortgage. These aren't your fancy $80,000 luxury pickups with massaging seats and Wi-Fi. Oh no, these are the blue-collar warriors, the budget beasts, the mechanical cockroaches of the automotive world. And here's the kicker, you can actually afford them. So buckle up, because we're counting down 7 cheap pickup trucks that are basically indestructible. And trust me, number 3 will make you question why anyone spends 6 figures on a truck. All right, let's kick things off with a truck that's basically a legend wrapped in sheet metal, the Toyota Hilux. Now, if you're watching from the States, you might be scratching your head right now because Toyota doesn't officially sell this beast in America. But stick with me, because this truck's reputation is so insane, it needs to be on this list. You want proof of how bulletproof this thing is? Top Gear, yeah, the British car show, literally tried to kill one. They crashed it into a tree, drowned it in the ocean, set it on fire, dropped a caravan on it, and then placed it on top of a building that they demolished. And you know what? The truck still ran. Jeremy Clarkson called it indestructible, and honestly, that might be an understatement. This wasn't some staged promotional stunt either. They genuinely tried to destroy this Hilux, and it just kept laughing at them like some sort of mechanical Terminator. So what makes the Hilux so ridiculously reliable? Let's start with the heart of the beast. Most models come with Toyota's legendary 4-cylinder diesel engines or their bulletproof 4-liter V6. These aren't fancy, complicated power plants with turbochargers stacked on turbochargers and electronics that need a computer science degree to diagnose. No, these are old-school, under-stressed, overbuilt engines that treat 200,000 miles like a warm-up lap. The engine internals are so robust that people in developing countries run these things on questionable fuel, skip oil changes like they're optional, and the Hilux just keeps trucking along. There's a reason you see these pickups in the Australian outback, Middle Eastern deserts, and African safaris, because when your life depends on your vehicle starting, you choose a Hilux. And here's something wild. The Hilux is the truck of choice for, well, let's just say organizations in conflict zones. I'm not endorsing anything here, but when people who live in some of the harshest conditions on Earth all choose the same truck, that tells you something. It's like the cockroach of the pickup world, but in the best way possible. You could probably drive this thing through an apocalypse, and the only maintenance it would need is maybe a wash and some fresh windshield wiper fluid. The suspension is designed to handle absolutely brutal terrain without complaining. We're talking solid rear axles on many models, leaf springs that can take a beating, and a chassis that's been refined over decades of real-world torture testing across every continent. The 4-wheel drive system is mechanical and simple. No fancy electronics that can fail when you're stuck in mud up to your door handles. Just good old-fashioned mechanical reliability that works whether it's 120 degrees in the desert or minus 40 in the Arctic. Now, here's where it gets interesting for budget-conscious buyers. While you can't walk into a Toyota dealer in North America and buy a new Hilux off the lot, you can find used ones imported from other markets, or if you're lucky enough to live somewhere they're sold new, they're significantly cheaper than their North American cousins like the Tacoma. Parts are abundant worldwide, and mechanics everywhere know how to work on them. The resale value is absolutely bonkers too. Some Hiluxes actually appreciate in value because the demand is so high and they last so long. Try finding another vehicle where your 15-year-old truck with 250,000 miles still commands premium money. The Hilux sets the bar incredibly high for what we mean by indestructible. But here's the thing, while the Hilux might be the international champion of reliability, there are trucks you can actually buy brand new in North America that come pretty darn close to matching its legendary toughness. So let's move on to a pickup that's been America's workhorse for decades and has the sales numbers to prove it. Speaking of trucks you can actually buy without needing to import one from another hemisphere, let's talk about the Nissan Frontier, the pickup truck equivalent of that reliable friend who shows up every single time you need help moving furniture. Not flashy, not the most popular kid in school, but absolutely rock solid when it counts. Here's what's fascinating about the Frontier. It's been flying under the radar for years while everyone obsesses over Tacomas and Colorados. And you know what? That's exactly why it belongs on this list. The second-generation Frontier, which ran from 2005 all the way to 2021 with minimal changes, is basically the automotive equivalent of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Nissan essentially said, we've perfected this formula, why mess with it? And while automotive journalists complained about outdated interiors and old technology, owners were racking up 300,000 miles without breaking a sweat. I'll be honest with you, Frontier, it's not gonna win any beauty contests. It's got the looks of a vehicle designed in the mid-2000s because, well, it was. The interior plastics feel like they could survive a nuclear winter, mostly because they're hard enough to deflect small arms fire. But here's the beautiful part. All that simplicity means there's almost nothing to break. No fancy touchscreens that freeze up, no complicated electronics that cost a fortune to repair, just straightforward knobs, buttons, and gauges that work every single time. It's refreshingly honest in a world of overcomplicating everything. Now let's get into the mechanical magic that makes the Frontier a tank. Under the hood, you've got the legendary VQ40DE 4-liter V6 engine. This power plant has been around since 2005, and it's basically bulletproof. We're talking about an engine that produces a respectable 261 horsepower, but more importantly, it's so understressed and well-engineered that timing chain issues are rare, head gasket failures are almost unheard of, and a thing just runs forever. There are Frontiers out there with over 400,000 miles still running on the original engine and transmission. The secret? Nissan didn't try to squeeze every last bit of power out of this motor. They built it conservatively, which means it operates well within its limits day after day, year after year. The transmission situation is equally impressive. You've got two options, a 6-speed manual that's tough as nails, or a 5-speed automatic that's been proven over hundreds of thousands of units. That automatic transmission is from the same family used in the Xterra and Pathfinder, and is known for being one of those change the fluid and forget about it units. No CVT nightmares here, no complicated dual clutch systems, just a traditional torque converter automatic that knows its job and does it without drama. The four-wheel drive system is equally straightforward, with an electronic shift-on-the-fly setup that's reliable and easy to maintain. The frame is fully boxed steel, not some aluminum lightweight construction that saves weight but sacrifices durability. This is old-school truck engineering, where the priority is strength over everything else. Contractors love these trucks because they can load up the bed with tools, lumber, and equipment, then drive over construction sites that would make a Cadillac cry, and the Frontier just shrugs it off. The suspension uses double wishbone front suspension and leaf springs in the rear, simple, proven technology that's been working for decades and can be serviced by any mechanic with basic tools. Here's where the Frontier becomes an absolute steal. Because it wasn't the trendy choice, used Frontiers are significantly cheaper than comparable Tacomas and Colorados. We're talking thousands of dollars less for essentially the same capability and reliability. You can find clean, well-maintained second-gen Frontiers with reasonable mileage for budget-friendly prices, and they'll run for another decade without major issues. Parts are cheap, readily available, and any mechanic can work on them. There's no special training required, no proprietary diagnostic equipment needed, just honest, straightforward repairs that won't drain your bank account. The Frontier is proof that boring can be beautiful, at least when it comes to reliability. While your neighbor is making their third payment on a fancy new truck with a digital dashboard that occasionally forgets what year it is, you'll be driving your paid-off Frontier that starts every morning like it's grateful to have a job. It's the truck equivalent of a golden retriever. Not fancy, maybe a little outdated, but loyal beyond measure and happy to work every single day. But wait, because if you think a Nissan being this reliable is impressive, the next truck on our list comes from a brand that's basically built their entire reputation on making vehicles that simply refuse to quit.
Hold on. Did I just say Mazda? Yes, you heard that right. The Mazda B3000. And before you click away thinking I've lost my mind, hear me out, because this might be the smartest budget truck purchase you never knew existed. Here's the secret that makes the B3000 absolutely brilliant. It's basically a Ford Ranger wearing a Mazda costume to a Halloween party. From 1994 to 2009, Mazda and Ford had this beautiful partnership where they shared platforms, and the B-Series trucks were essentially rebadged Rangers with Mazda's badge slapped on the front. But here's where it gets interesting. Because everyone knows about the Ranger's legendary reliability, those trucks hold their value like gold bars. The Mazda B3000, however, flies completely under the radar, which means you can snag one for significantly less money while getting virtually the same truck. It's like finding a Rolex at Timex prices because someone spelled the name differently on the box. I love the B3000 because it's the ultimate sleeper pickup. While everyone's fighting over Tacomas at used car lots and paying premium prices, you can roll up with your Mazda badge and get the same Ford toughness for thousands less. It's like automotive camouflage at its finest. The seller looks at that Mazda badge and thinks, compact import truck, while you're sitting there knowing you've got Ford Ranger DNA running through its veins. It's like being in on a secret that saves you serious cash. Under the hood, the B3000 packs Ford's legendary 3-liter Vulcan V6, and yes, it's called the Vulcan, which automatically makes it cooler. This engine is the definition of under-stressed reliability. It produces around 150 horsepower, which isn't going to win any drag races, but that's exactly why it lasts forever. Ford used this engine across their entire lineup for nearly 2 decades because it simply worked. No fancy variable valve timing, no turbochargers, no direct injection complexity, just a straightforward push-rod V6 that sips regular unleaded and keeps running long after flashier engines have waved the white flag. There are B3000s out there cruising past 300,000 miles with nothing more than routine maintenance, and the engine still purrs like it rolled off the assembly line yesterday. The transmission options are equally bomb-proof. You've got a 5-speed manual that's virtually indestructible if you're even remotely competent with a clutch, or a 4-speed automatic that's been refined over millions of miles across the Ford truck lineup. That automatic isn't fancy or quick shifting, but it's dependable as sunrise. The 4-wheel drive system, when equipped, uses a manual locking transfer case, the kind of simple mechanical setup that works in a blizzard, a mud pit, or 20 years down the road when electronic systems would be throwing codes like confetti. The chassis and suspension setup mirrors the Ranger's proven design. Independent front suspension with torsion bars and a solid rear axle with leaf springs. This isn't cutting-edge technology, but it's battle-tested engineering that's been proven across millions of trucks. The frame is tough, the components are durable, and everything is designed to be serviced without specialized tools or computer diagnostics. Any mechanic who's worked on trucks can maintain a B3000 with their eyes closed. Parts are dirt cheap because they're shared with the massively popular Ranger, and junkyards are full of donor vehicles if you need something replaced. Now let's be real, the B3000 isn't going to impress anyone at a car show. The interior is basic, the ride is truck-like in the old-school sense, and the technology features top out at, it has a radio and air conditioning works most of the time. But you know what? That simplicity is exactly what makes it reliable. There's no infotainment system to glitch out, no sensors to fail, no complicated climate control modules that cost a fortune to replace. Just roll down the window if you're hot, turn up the heat if you're cold, and enjoy the fact that your truck starts every single morning without drama. The B3000 represents something beautiful in the used truck market, the intersection of affordability and durability. While everyone else is overpaying for more popular nameplates, you can score a gem that'll haul your gear, tow your trailer, and serve you faithfully for years to come. It's the working person's truck that doesn't care about status symbols or brand loyalty. It just shows up, does the job, and goes home without complaining. Plus, there's something satisfying knowing that you're smarter than the market, getting Ford Ranger reliability at Mazda B-Series prices. If the B3000 proves that sometimes the best trucks are hiding in plain sight, then our next entry takes that concept to a whole new level. We're talking about a truck so dependable that it's become the default choice for people who absolutely cannot afford vehicle failures.
Now I know what you're thinking. Did he just put a Dodge on a reliability list? Has he completely lost it? Stay with me, because the Ram 1500, specifically certain generations and engine configurations, deserves way more credit than the internet memes give it. This is where we separate fact from fiction and discover why millions of Ram owners aren't just gluttons for punishment. Let's address it head on. Yes, Dodge has had its share of electrical gremlins. Yes, there have been transmission issues. And yes, the internet loves to roast Ram reliability. But here's what the memes won't tell you. When you pick the right generation with the right engine, the Ram 1500 is shockingly durable. It's like that friend who had a wild phase in college but actually turned their life around and became incredibly dependable. We're not talking about every Ram ever made. We're talking about specific sweet spots that offer incredible value and surprising longevity. The third-generation Ram 1500, particularly the 2002 to 2008 models, equipped with either the 4.7-liter V8 or the legendary 5.7-liter Hemi, represents one of the best value propositions in the used truck market. That 4.7-liter PowerTech V8 is a workhorse that doesn't get nearly enough respect. It's not the most powerful engine in the lineup, pumping out around 235 to 310 horsepower depending on the year. But it's robust and proven. This engine features a chain-driven overhead cam design that eliminates timing belt replacement concerns, and when properly maintained, these motors regularly sail past 200,000 miles. The Hemi, meanwhile, has become legendary for a reason. It's a pushrod V8 that combines old-school simplicity with modern efficiency and serious power. Here's where the Ram starts to make serious sense for budget buyers. The capability you get for the money is almost absurd. These trucks were designed to tow, haul, and work hard. The frame is fully boxed steel construction that can handle serious loads without flexing or complaining. The suspension uses heavy-duty components that are designed for actual truck work, not just looking tough in a mall parking lot. When you find a well-maintained example that's been used as a truck should be, regularly driven, properly serviced, not abused, they prove remarkably resilient. The secret is in the maintenance history, not just the odometer reading. The Ram 1500 shines in real-world use because it was engineered to be a genuine workhorse. Contractors, farmers, and tradespeople have been using these trucks for decades, putting them through absolute hell, and they keep running. The towing capacity is genuinely impressive, with properly equipped models hauling 10,000 pounds or more without breaking a sweat. The payload capacity lets you load up the bed with tools, equipment, or materials without stressing the truck. And unlike some competitors that feel maxed out when towing, the Ram's power delivery and chassis tuning make it feel composed and confident even when working hard. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Buying a used Ram requires more due diligence than some other trucks on this list. You need to check the maintenance records carefully, look for signs of proper care, and maybe avoid the absolute highest mileage examples unless they have impeccable documentation. The transmissions, particularly the 45 RFE and 54 5 RFE automatics, need regular fluid changes to stay happy. But here's the thing. When you find a Ram that's been loved and maintained, you're getting full-size truck capability for mid-size truck money. We're talking leather seats, powerful engines, real towing ability, and a comfortable ride for thousands less than comparable F-150s or Silverados. The Ram proves that sometimes the best deals come from trucks that have been unfairly maligned by internet warriors who've never actually owned one. But if you want a truck that combines affordability with a reputation so pristine that nobody can question your choice, our next entry is going to make you smile.
Of course the F-150 is on this list. How could it not be? This is the best-selling vehicle in North America for over 4 decades straight. Not just best-selling truck, best-selling vehicle, period. But here's what most people miss. The F-150 isn't just popular because of marketing or brand loyalty. It's popular because millions of people have discovered that these trucks simply work, year after year, mile after mile, without excuses. Now, you might be thinking, wait, aren't F-150s expensive? And yeah, new ones absolutely are. But here's the beautiful secret. Because Ford has sold literally millions of these trucks, the used market is absolutely flooded with options at every price point imaginable. Supply and demand works in your favor here. While a used Tacoma commands a premium because everyone knows they're reliable, you can find F-150s with similar miles and condition for significantly less money simply because there are so many of them available. It's reliability hiding in plain sight through sheer volume. The key to F-150 longevity is picking the right generation and engine combination, and Ford has given us plenty of winners to choose from. The 9th generation trucks from 1992 to 1996 are legendary for their simplicity and durability, especially with the 4.9-liter inline-6 or the 5.0-liter V8. These are old-school trucks with carburetors and mechanical simplicity that means anyone with basic tools can keep them running. Then you've got the 10th and 11th generations from 1997 to 2008, particularly with the bulletproof 4.6-liter or 5.4-liter Triton V8s. Sure, the 5.4 had some spark plug issues in certain years, but that's a known problem with a known fix. And once addressed, these engines run forever. There's a reason you see ancient F-150s still working on farms, construction sites, and ranches across the continent. These trucks are the cockroaches of the automotive world, except instead of surviving on crumbs behind your refrigerator, they're hauling hay bales and pulling trailers like it's their life purpose. I've seen F-150s with 400,000 miles that look like they've been through a war zone but still fire up every morning ready for battle. The owner's manual says they need maintenance every so often, but these trucks seem to interpret that as a suggestion rather than a requirement. What makes the F-150 so remarkably durable comes down to Ford's philosophy of incremental improvement over revolution. They don't completely redesign everything every few years. Instead, they refine what works, fix what doesn't, and build on decades of real-world feedback from millions of owners. The frame construction has been refined over generations to handle massive loads without flexing. The suspension geometry is proven and rebuildable with readily available parts. Even the controversial aluminum body introduced in 2015 has proven itself remarkably durable and resistant to rust, which is actually a huge long-term reliability advantage in harsh climates. Here's something special about the F-150. It's a truck that works for everyone. Need to haul a boat to the lake on weekends? It handles that. Need to carry lumber and tools to job sites every day? No problem. Want to commute in comfort but occasionally need actual truck capability? The F-150 does it all without compromising. The variety of cab configurations, bed lengths, engine options, and trim levels means literally an F-150 for every possible use case and budget. You can find a basic work truck with crank windows and vinyl seats for cheap, or you can step up to leather-wrapped luxury that rivals high-end SUVs. The parts availability for F-150s is almost comical. Walk into any auto parts store anywhere, and they'll have F-150 parts on the shelf, guaranteed. Mechanics everywhere know these trucks inside and out because they've worked on thousands of them. The aftermarket support is endless. Want to upgrade, repair, or modify anything? Someone makes a part for it, and there's probably a YouTube video showing you exactly how to install it. This isn't some obscure truck where you need to special order parts from overseas and wait 3 weeks. You can fix an F-150 on a Sunday afternoon with parts from your local store. The genius of buying a used F-150 is that you're getting America's most proven truck platform at a fraction of the new cost. These trucks have been tested and proven by millions of owners in every climate, terrain, and use case. When something does eventually wear out, and let's be honest, everything wears out eventually, you're replacing it with affordable, readily available parts. You're not gambling on some niche truck that might have hidden problems. You're buying into a platform that's been refined over decades and supported by the largest truck community on the planet. The F-150 is like that overachiever in high school who was good at everything and somehow stayed humble about it. Best-selling? Check. Reliable? Check. Capable? Check. Affordable on the used market? Surprisingly, check. While everyone else is fighting over the trendy trucks, the F-150 just keeps showing up, doing the work, and proving why it's earned its reputation the hard way, one satisfied owner at a time. But hold on, because if you thought the F-150 was the ultimate reliable truck, we've got 2 more entries that are going to challenge everything you think you know about pickup durability. Our next truck has a cult following so devoted, they make F-150 fans look casual.
Welcome to the eternal battle, Chevy versus Ford, Silverado versus F-150, bow tie versus blue oval. But here's what's wild about the Silverado. It doesn't just compete with the F-150, it often outlasts it in ways that shock even die-hard Ford fans. I can already hear the comments section exploding, but stick with me, because the numbers don't lie, and the Silverado has earned its place near the top of this list through sheer, unrelenting toughness. The Chevrolet Silverado, particularly the GMT 800 platform from 1999 to 2007, and the GMT 900 generation from 2007 to 2013, represent some of the most durable trucks ever built by an American manufacturer. These aren't just trucks that survive, they thrive under conditions that would break lesser vehicles. There's a reason you see ancient Silverados with faded paint and dented fenders still hauling equipment every single day. These trucks have one job, and they refuse to retire until that job is absolutely impossible to complete. The Silverado is that friend who never calls in sick to work, never complains about overtime, and somehow still shows up looking ready to go even after pulling an all-nighter. It's got the personality of a draft horse. Not flashy, not seeking attention, just pure, reliable work ethic wrapped in sheet metal. And just like that dependable friend, the Silverado doesn't demand much in return. Change the oil, don't ignore weird noises, and it'll serve you faithfully until the heat death of the universe. Let's talk about what makes the Silverado a mechanical fortress. The Vortec engine lineup is legendary, and I mean truly legendary. The 4.8-liter V8, the 5.3-liter V8, and especially the 6.0-liter V8 are some of the most bulletproof engines General Motors ever produced. These are pushrod V8s that harken back to a simpler era of automotive engineering, but with just enough modern technology to be efficient without being complicated. The 5.3-liter in particular has become the gold standard for reliability. It's the engine contractors choose when they absolutely cannot afford downtime. We're talking about motors that regularly hit 300,000 miles without major internal work, still running strong enough to tow heavy trailers and haul maximum payloads. The brilliance of these Vortec engines lies in their conservative engineering. General Motors didn't push them to the absolute limit of performance. Instead, they built them tough, with cast iron blocks, forged internals where it counts, and a design philosophy that prioritized longevity over bragging rights. The overhead valve design means fewer moving parts compared to overhead cam engines, which translates to fewer potential failure points. The sequential fuel injection is reliable and serviceable, and the ignition systems are straightforward. When something eventually needs attention, you're not dealing with exotic parts or complicated procedures. Any competent mechanic can rebuild these engines with common tools and readily available parts. The transmission situation with the Silverado deserves special mention because General Motors nailed it with the 4L60E, 4L65E, and 4L80E automatics. Yes, the 4L60E has a reputation for needing rebuilds at higher mileage, but here's the thing. It's so common and well understood that any transmission shop can rebuild one in their sleep for reasonable money. The 4L80E, used behind the bigger engines, is nearly indestructible when maintained properly. We're talking about a transmission that was originally designed for heavy-duty applications and then adapted for pickup trucks, which means it's massively overbuilt for typical truck duties.
The Silverado's chassis and suspension setup is pure American truck engineering at its finest. The fully boxed frame is robust enough to handle serious abuse year after year. The suspension uses simple, proven geometry, independent front suspension with torsion bars or coil springs, depending on the generation, and a solid rear axle with leaf springs. This isn't exotic or complicated. It's honest engineering that prioritizes durability and repairability. When components eventually wear out, they're designed to be replaced individually without requiring specialized equipment or dealer-only tools. Here's where the Silverado becomes an absolute steal in the used market, because they built so many of them, and because the Chevy brand doesn't command the same premium as Toyota. You can find incredibly well-maintained examples for budget-friendly prices. We're talking about trucks with full service histories, low to moderate mileage, and years of life left in them for thousands less than comparable imports. The parts availability rivals the F-150 because GM sold millions of these trucks, and the aftermarket support is massive. Want to upgrade the suspension, add a lift kit, install bigger tires, or customize literally anything? The Silverado community has you covered with endless options. The Silverado proves that General Motors, despite their occasional corporate chaos and bankruptcy drama, knows how to build a truck that absolutely refuses to quit. These trucks have survived economic recessions, harsh winters, brutal summers, and owners who treat maintenance schedules as vague suggestions rather than firm requirements. They're the automotive equivalent of that old Nokia phone that you could throw at a wall and it would just laugh at you. Indestructible might be a strong word, but the Silverado makes a compelling argument for it. The Silverado represents American truck engineering at its most refined and reliable. But as tough as it is, as proven as it is, there's one more truck on this list that takes reliability to almost a mythical level. A truck so legendary for refusing to die that it's become a global icon of dependability.
And here we are, number 1, the Toyota Tundra. Did you really think it would be anything else? This is the truck that makes mechanics sigh with boredom because they so rarely see them broken down. The truck that holds resale value like it's made of gold. The truck that American manufacturers study with envy and frustration because Toyota somehow cracked the code on building full-size pickups that simply refuse to quit. Let me tell you about a Tundra that became legendary. In 2016, a Texas man named Victor Shepard hit 1 million miles on his 2007 Tundra. Not 100,000 miles, not 300,000 miles, 1 million miles. And the original engine and transmission were still running. Toyota was so impressed, they literally took the truck apart to study it. And you know what they found? Normal wear and tear. Nothing catastrophic. Nothing broken beyond repair. They rebuilt it and gave it back to him, and he kept driving it. That's not an anomaly. That's the Tundra in a nutshell. It's a truck that treats extreme mileage like a casual workout. The Tundra is what happens when a company obsessed with reliability decides to build a full-size American truck. It's like Toyota looked at the pickup market and said, you know what? We're going to make this so reliable it becomes annoying. And they succeeded. The Tundra is the overachiever that makes everyone else look bad without even trying. It doesn't break down, it doesn't need constant attention, and it holds value so stubbornly that trying to find a cheap used Tundra is like trying to find a unicorn at a reasonable price. They exist, but you'll need patience and luck. The heart of the Tundra's invincibility is the engine lineup, particularly the legendary 5.7-liter I-Force V8 that debuted in 2007. This engine is a masterpiece of conservative engineering taken to its logical extreme. It produces 381 horsepower and 401 foot-pounds of torque, which is plenty for any real-world truck duty. But what's remarkable is how unstressed these numbers are. Toyota built this engine with massive safety margins. The internals are overbuilt, the cooling system is robust, and the engine management is conservative. This isn't an engine pushed to its limits. It's an engine that operates comfortably within its capabilities, which is exactly why it lasts forever.
The earlier first-generation Tundra, running from 2000 to 2006, came with either a 3.4-liter V6 or Toyota's excellent 4.7-liter V8. These engines share the same DNA as the power plants used in the Land Cruiser and Sequoia, proven, durable, and engineered for global markets where reliability isn't just preferred, it's absolutely mandatory. The second-generation Tundra, from 2007 to 2021, refined everything even further. The 6-speed automatic transmission, mated to the 5.7-liter V8, is smooth, reliable, and built to handle serious power and torque without drama. Toyota doesn't use the cheapest components or cut corners to save a few dollars. They engineer for longevity first, cost second, which is exactly opposite of how most manufacturers approach truck building. The Tundra's frame is fully boxed high-strength steel, designed using computer modeling and real-world testing to handle maximum loads without flexing or fatiguing. The suspension geometry is precise and durable, using components that are built to take abuse year after year. Toyota sweats the small details that other manufacturers overlook. The electrical connections are sealed properly. The fasteners are grade 8 where they need to be. The wiring harnesses are routed to avoid chafing and heat damage. This attention to detail throughout the entire truck is what separates good reliability from legendary reliability. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Tundras are not cheap, even used ones. The demand is so high and the supply of people willing to sell them is so low that prices stay elevated. But here's the counter-argument. You're not buying a truck, you're making an investment. The Tundra will serve you faithfully for hundreds of thousands of miles, retain its value remarkably well, and when you eventually decide to sell it, someone will gladly pay good money because they know exactly what they're getting. The total cost of ownership over 10 or 15 years is actually competitive with cheaper trucks that nickel and dime you with repairs and depreciate faster. What makes the Tundra special isn't just the reliability, it's the peace of mind. It's knowing that when you turn the key, it's going to start every single time. In a blizzard, in a heat wave, after sitting for weeks, after towing maximum capacity through the mountains, the Tundra just works. There's something deeply satisfying about owning a vehicle that removes automotive anxiety from your life. No wondering if it'll make the long road trip, no worrying about expensive repairs, no backup plans needed. Just confidence and capability wrapped in a package that does exactly what it promises. The Tundra proves that Toyota took everything they learned from building the Hilux, Land Cruiser, and decades of legendary reliability and poured it all into a full-size pickup designed to compete in the toughest truck market in the world. It's reliable to the point of being boring, which is exactly what you want in a truck you depend on. While other owners are browsing mechanic shops and parts catalogs, Tundra owners are out there actually using their trucks, living their lives, and wondering what all the fuss is about. It's the mechanical equivalent of a golden retriever. Loyal, dependable, and happy to work every single day without complaint. So there you have it. 7 pickup trucks that laugh in the face of mortality, that treat 200,000 miles as barely broken in, and that prove you don't need to spend a fortune to get legendary reliability. From the international icon Hilux to the bulletproof Frontier, from the under-the-radar B3000 to the surprisingly tough Ram, from the best-selling F-150 to the workhorse Silverado, and crowned by the nearly indestructible Tundra, these trucks represent the best of what pickup engineering can achieve when durability is the top priority.
If you made it this far, you're clearly serious about finding a truck that'll last, and I respect that. Now here's my question for you. Which of these 7 would you choose? Are you Team Toyota, willing to pay the premium for that legendary reliability? Or are you a smart shopper, going for the value play with something like the Frontier or B3000? Maybe you're a domestic truck loyalist, ready to defend your F-150 or Silverado to the death. Drop a comment below and let me know which truck you trust with your hard-earned money. And listen, if you found this video helpful, do me a huge favor, smash that like button. It genuinely helps more people discover this content. Subscribe if you want more no-nonsense truck reviews, reliability deep dives, and automotive content that actually tells you the truth instead of just reading spec sheets.
Hit that notification bell so you don't miss future videos where we'll break down more budget-friendly vehicles that last forever. Got a friend shopping for a reliable truck? Share this video with them. Trust me, you'll be saving them from potential headaches and bad decisions. And if you've owned any of these trucks, I want to hear your stories. The good, the bad, the ugly, and the surprisingly excellent. Your real-world experience helps everyone make better decisions. Thanks for watching, and remember, the best truck isn't always the newest or the flashiest. Sometimes it's the one that starts every morning and gets you home every night without drama. Now get out there and find yourself an indestructible pickup. See you in the next one.